Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Koel. Welcome to another edition of the Northland Outdoors Podcast. We're going to kind of continue a trend here today, talking with outdoor writers, veteran outdoor writers, and this guy is one of the very best. Veteran outdoor writer and communicator Bernie Barringer. If you're into bear hunting, you've heard of Bernie. The guy's an incredible bear hunter, passionate author of several books about bear hunting. But what you may not have known is the guy is one of the most busy people in the outdoors, also has been a veteran fishing tournament director for years. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is his involvement. In fact, he's the tournament director of the largest fishing tournament fundraiser in the world. In the world, folks. Takes place every year in the Brainerd Lakes area, and we're going to talk about the Minnesota Fishing Challenge and bear hunting and everything else with the great Bernie Barringer coming up in just a second. But before we do that, a reminder, if you don't want to miss any of these Northland Outdoors podcasts, make sure that you give us 5 stars on wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts and the like. But then also get over to inforum.com and subscribe. Very low cost, and it gets you access to all of the Forum Communications properties, internet sites, lots of great information, including Northland Outdoors. And another quick reminder, okay, make sure you tune in every Sunday night following the 10 o'clock news for the latest episode of Northland Outdoors Television. We've got some great stuff out there this year. So Sunday nights, 10:30 on the WDAY ABC Television Network and on KSFL down in Sioux Falls. Make sure you tune in 10:35 on Sunday night. All right, without further ado, let's talk the Minnesota Fishing Challenge. Unbelievable event with my good friend Bernie Barringer. He is a veteran outdoor writer and communicator. He has been, I don't know when the guy sleeps, to be honest with you. He's got his hands in all sorts of things. Fishing tournament director for many, many years, author, all of these things. But we're going to start with the fishing tournament director part of the Bernie Barringer, by the way, joins us. Bernie, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the Northland Outdoors podcast.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. Now, back to the fishing tournament deal. You just got done with one of the bigger events I know that you're involved with on an annual basis, the Minnesota Fishing Challenge. Explain to us, for those who don't know what the Minnesota Fishing Challenge is, on the Gull Chain up by Brainerd. Explain to us, what is the Minnesota Fishing Challenge?
Well, the Fishing Challenge is a fundraising fishing tournament, and the funds benefit Teen Challenge throughout the state. There's several campuses throughout Minnesota, and what we've done is we've organized this fishing tournament as a way to raise funds that will help people go through the drug and alcohol abuse treatment program. And it's a 1-year-long program that most of these people are going through. And it's people that have just completely driven their life off into the ditch, and they're really in trouble. And when they enter this 13-month program, they are going to be completely transformed, because it's an amazing program. Anybody that knows anything about Teen Challenge knows the value of what they do. And so the fishing tournament's very simple. People sign up to fish the event, and then they raise money among family and friends and business partners and so forth. And we have some people that do some amazing things. We had a team that has raised over $100,000 for 9 years in a row. We had another team that raised $50,000 this year. And we give special awards for anybody that raises over $10,000. We had 14 teams, or 28 people, they're 2-person teams, that raised over $10,000 this year. So we raised a total of $611,000, and just it's kind of mind blowing, because every year we break another record, and I look at that number and I go, how are we ever going to break that? And these guys always come through for me. It's really, really neat to see.
Well, I recall seeing last year's number after that event was 560,000, and we were all just like, how can you know, more than $500,000. How can you possibly top that? And you blew the roof right off it this year. $611,000 for one fundraising event is absolutely amazing. And I know you told us that according to your research, it is the single largest fishing related fundraiser in North America, which probably means the world, quite honestly, correct? I mean, that's insane.
It's just really something to be a part of it and to be leading something that is just so incredible, and so many people that work so hard. And I say this probably too much, but the guys and the women who go out and raise money for people that are really, really in need. And I mean, literally, a lot of them would be dead if they weren't in the program. Yeah. We're saving lives, and these people are working so hard to raise money to help people they don't even know, which, I mean, it's just so cool to be a part of it. I've run 260 some tournaments. I've kind of lost track, but this is by far the most rewarding thing I've ever done, to be able to provide funds to help people go through this program. And my goal has always been, since I became director 9 years ago, is like anybody that walks in the door and says, I need help, man, we don't want to turn them away. And it costs a lot of money to do that. And I mean, some of them have insurance that helps. Others, boy, I've seen how much these guys eat, you know. I mean, it costs a lot of money to go through a program. It's almost $1,500 a month per person, and there's 60 people in there. So that's just the Brainerd campus.
Yeah, amazing. Now, here's a question. 16 years this has been going on, and I know it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. But how in the world did we come up with a fishing tournament to raise money for an addiction recovery program? How did this all come about?
Well, some people in the fishing business basically started talking about it, and I was involved in it basically in a background way. That I had just read the book called Bass Boss, and it was about how Ray Scott started the BASS tournaments. And my kids go to the Christian school in Brainerd, and I thought, you know, wouldn't it be cool to have a fishing tournament to support the Christian school? I called up Al Lindner, and you know, it just never really went anywhere. But then it was just a few months later when Teen Challenge was looking for a way to raise some money, and Al Lindner got together with JK, and they're like, let's do a fishing tournament. And Jim Kalkofen, he was the director of the Professional Walleye Trail, very skilled tournament director. And he got this thing off the ground, and man, did he built it right. He really put the time and effort into it. And of course, Al's been there since the very beginning. Walleye Dan was there at the beginning, Dan Eigen. And they put a really good foundation under this thing. So when JK retired, then I was able to take it over. It's 9 years now I've been doing it, and it just keeps growing every year. Now,
you mentioned you know, obviously been involved in hundreds of tournaments as a director and otherwise, big time tournaments. You mentioned Jim's name, PWT. Myself, I've produced tournament television for many, many years, but this is different, right? That's why, you know, a lot of people see, you know, this big tournament and they think, well, I'm not a big time fisherman or whatever. I'm not going to get involved, but this tournament is a little bit different, isn't it? I had never really been around anything like this. This is just so much fun. Now, explain a little bit about how the tournament goes. And it's not just go out there and catch the 5 biggest walleyes and, you know, win whatever. That's not what it's about.
Yeah, boy, you're so right on that. It's built to be a lot of fun. Sure. And because it's a fundraising tournament, you know, you're not competing for your own money. You're not putting prize money into the pool and then the winner gets a big check. Everybody gets to go through a prize tent and pick out something. If you finish in the top 10 in your division, you can pick out a prize. And there's nice stuff in there, trolling motors and all kinds of rods and reels and tackle. And, you know, we had a $3,200 Canadian fishing vacation in there this year. But the cool thing about it is it's really built just to be fun. And I like to say it's friendly competition with the emphasis on friendly, because We got professional bass fishermen, and we got people fishing with their kids.
Yep.
It's all over the map. It's really more about giving back and about helping than it is about winning. And that's reflected in the limits that we allow them to bring in, because you can choose what you want to fish. We got 5 divisions. You can bring in 3 panfish, or you can bring in walleyes, bass, northern pike, or a mixed bag, which is 1 of each. And then you can throw a rock bass in with anything you catch, and that adds weight. So that's kind of a fun aspect of it. That rock bass, I've seen them move people up or down the standings 3 or 4 places.
You bet.
So getting that rock bass is normally a bummer, but in this tournament, it's a fun aspect of it. And Baudry Oil sponsors the Ugliest Fish Award.
Yep.
So you can bring a fish on the stage, and now it's kind of become a tradition that you have to kiss the ugly fish in order to win the award. So there's a lot of fun aspects to it.
A dogfish has been kissed on stage 2 years in a row now, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you.
Yeah.
This year I was there. I was honored that Bernie asked me to MC the weigh-in this year, and so I was there on Saturday doing that. And it was.
You did a great job, by the way. I never got a chance to tell you. You did a fantastic job.
Well, I appreciate it, Bernie, but it was so much fun because. Unlike some of the more serious tournaments, right? Everybody that came up on stage was smiling. Everybody has fish because you can catch panfish or, whatever, like you said, northern pike, it doesn't matter. Bring in the bonus rock bass, and they all understand why they're doing it. And that's what I guess makes it the most, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, Bernie, but it's just kind of thrilling to be a part of that. And
fulfilling.
Fulfilling.
I mean, that's a good word for it. You just feel like you've done something really positive.
And the other part was you had, what did you have? 35, 40 of the current clients, guys going through the program, are there helping, working their rear ends off. And, it's just a fantastic event. Now, so somebody wants to get involved. How does that happen? How do we go to
fishingchallenge.org, and there's a lot of ways to get involved. You can fish it, obviously. The DNR gives us a permit for up to 150 two-person teams, and we've been running 120 to 135 or so the last few years. We did fill it 1 year. But so that's one way is you can fish and fundraise. The other way is you can help somebody that's in it by donating through their team. All the money goes to Teen Challenge. We have corporate sponsors that pay all of the overhead costs of the tournament. So every dime you give, that it's just going straight to the people in need. So, if a corporate partner that would be involved, a lot of people have companies that they work for have charity funds. And a lot of people that fish the tournament will talk to the companies they work for. They talk to buddies and friends, and a lot of them sell raffle tickets. There's just a lot of different ways that you can raise money. And there's bonuses. For every $500 you raise, you get a ticket in the drawing for a brand new Lund boat. It's completely rigged with Minn Kota and Humminbird electronics. And it was really cool. There was a husband and wife from just out by Minot, North Dakota, that came and fished this year. And her brother is actually in the program right now. And so it was so cool. They came and fished for the first time, and they ended up going home with a brand new Lund.
Perfect. They can have it on the big lake out there, Skakawea or something. That'll be excellent. Yeah. No, it was a great event, Bernie. And again, I wanted to thank you for letting me get involved, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, you've already got a date for next year, correct? And when is it?
It's June 7th. Saturday, June 7th for 2025.
And that's on the Gull Lake chain, and the weigh-in was always at Cragen's Resort. Another great partner you've had for a long time is Dutch Cragen and those folks. That's a wonderful venue for that event.
Yeah, it works great for us, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, just tell people, go to fishingchallenge.org. You can learn all about it. You can see photos and read the press releases and so forth.
Yep. And I will put I'm going to put some photos up while we have this discussion here on the video version of the podcast, so people can see some of that as well. So get involved in this and see, let's Bernie can never believe he's going to raise more money than he did last year, but let's see if we can do it. I said, if we're going at $50,000 increments, we got to be over 650 now next year, Bernie.
Yeah, we've raised over 5 million altogether. So,
oh man,
just
that's
blows my mind. I'll tell you what, It's so fun to be a part of this.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, but if you know anything about Bernie Barringer, you know that the first part of his last name is really one of his giant passions, and that's bear. Bernie is an accomplished bear hunter, bear guide, bear author. He's written a couple of fantastic books about bear hunting. Bernie, tell me about your passion for this bear hunting, because bear hunting is not one of those things that, with deer hunting, we have tons of folks who will pursue that. And then, of course, fishing and these other things. Bear hunting is a little more of a niche kind of a pursuit, especially in Minnesota and some of these states. Tell me about your passion for bear hunting.
It started in a pretty strange way because, being a full-time outdoor writer, and I was a bow hunter living in Iowa and write a lot of bow hunting stuff for magazines. And in the late 90s, and the bear hunting magazine just started, I think, in 99. And the owner at that time called me up. He said, I know I see your whitetail hunting stuff that you're writing all the time. Would you be interested in bow hunting for bear? I need a writer to help me get good content for this bear hunting magazine I'm starting. And so I ended up going on a bow hunt in northern Minnesota and killed a bear. And I thought, that'd be fun. I'm going to check that off my list, and I'll have a bear rug, and I'll be able to have killed a bear with a bow, and then I'll move on to something else. And I got just hopelessly addicted to bear hunting because it is so fun. It is it's like whitetail hunting on steroids. I always tell people, the difference is, like, you'll hear a whitetail come crunch through the leaves walking towards your stand, or maybe you see it come across a field. But bear hunting, especially over bait, takes place in thick cover, and bears don't make a sound, and it's just like poof, there's a bear in front of you, and it's a bear. It could kill you. It's not going to probably, but it could. And the whole adrenaline value of doing that especially with Archie equipment, it's really, really cool. So I ended up writing for that magazine for quite a few years, going on more bear hunts, and it became the editor of the magazine. And then ended up, when the magazine was sold, then I still do a column in there in every issue. But I wrote books and did DVDs on bear hunting, and started a YouTube channel which is called Bow Hunting Road, which is mostly bear hunting. It's a lot of public land DIY whitetail stuff also, but a lot of bear hunting on there. And then I guess the natural progression was to become a bear hunting guide. And I had opportunities, when I got to the point where I felt like I was really confident that I had figured these bears out. And, a lot of people, if you're not experienced with baiting bears, you probably don't realize how difficult it is to get a mature bear to come to a bait site during the legal shooting hours. It is really hard. And you just can't screw anything up. And when I did it for 20 years, I got pretty good at it. And then I went into guiding. And now I'm actually starting a black bear show. It's called the International Black Bear Show, and it's a big expo that's going to start in 2025. It's going to be in Barnum, Minnesota. I rented the whole fairgrounds in Barnum, Minnesota, and people are coming from all over Canada, and especially Wisconsin and Minnesota and the UP of Michigan. But also I got tons of guides and outfitters coming. And it just keeps, this whole bear hunting thing is threatening to take over my life.
Well, don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Now, there are worse things. Now, listen, one of the things that, and this, better than most, and certainly much better than me, I got in on a Minnesota bear hunt one time. I only did it. So I was that guy that managed to do it once and then dodge the addiction. But the thing that sticks with me, and the reason I would love to do it again one of these years, is it seems to me like with a bear baiting process, and I want you to tell me how that all works in your own words, but I know it's a lengthy process. You don't just throw a bait out the night before you're going to go hunting and a bear comes and you shoot it. But through that whole process, you almost form kind of a relationship to a certain extent, right? With these bears. I mean, you understand they have different personalities, and you can see all of that by the way they're coming to your baits and so on and so forth. Am I close, at least in my experience?
Yes, you're hitting the nail pretty close to the head there. The bears are they're, I don't like to use personalities, I guess, because they're not persons, but they're individuals. Right. And some of them are more bold than others. Some of them are more cautious. Some of them like certain things. I've seen bears dig through candy and donuts to get the beef scraps, and they're all just different. And some of them will circle around the bait before they come in. But some of the most important aspects of bear hunting, and a lot of people don't realize, is choosing a location to put your bait is so critical. You have to put it in a spot where the bears can approach it through thick cover so they feel comfortable. It's got to be close to water. These bears, we're baiting in August, and these bears are, it's hot. They're black fur and they got a lot of fat on them, and they're spending a lot of their day in the water. They also are eating 20 to 25 up to 30,000 calories a day. So they need a lot of water to digest that. And that's why if people ask me for the biggest tip of where to put a bear bait, I would probably tell them, try to be within 100 or 200 yards of a water source. But then also, especially the bigger mature bears, they just kind of know this isn't right, and they kind of have a caution about them where they're just very super cautious about approaching the bait and about feeding there in the daylight, and you really got to just do everything right.
Yeah. How long prior to the hunting season do you start your baiting? Is that in the regulations as to when you can start? I assume it is.
Yeah, so it's about 2 weeks before the season starts here in Minnesota, and I start on the first day and get them going good. And another thing that I've learned is that a lot of people think sugar is what bears are really attracted to, and they are at first, but they kind of, after a few days of eating just a lot of candy and donuts, they kind of go, whoa, it's like after Thanksgiving dinner where you're like, I couldn't eat another bite. So you got to have foods that will meet their nutritional needs. And so I start out with quite a bit of sugar and then cut back on the sugar. And I use things like granola and trail mix and so forth like that to get them through. And when the acorns start dropping around the 1st of September, it's hard to hold them on the baits. But if you got the right baits, you can keep them coming.
I know one of the challenges for someone who's doing it first time, because I recall this from our hunt a few years back, was where does a guy come up with the bait? Where do you go to get all of these sweets, the amount that you need? I mean, is it difficult to find bait? Is it something you can order? I mean, how do you go about
it? Bear hunting has grown so much, particularly in the state of Minnesota now. There are multiple bear bait suppliers that have warehouses full of stuff. You can buy trail mix by the super sack, which is about 15 to 1,800 pounds. You can buy it by the barrel. You can buy granola and candies and licorice and cookies. Cookie dough is really popular. I've already started stocking up for this year. I bought 2.5 tons of trail mix already for my guiding this year.
So you throw a handful in your pocket first, and then you go and I got it. Yeah,
it's actually it's fresh stuff too. It's not even expired. You look at it. Some of this stuff. In fact, one time I bought a bunch of boxes of cookie doughs, and the cookie dough was in individual cookies, and they were frozen. And I looked at the expiration date, and it was 2 years away. So I fed some of it to the bears, and my wife's like, "You're not feeding all that to the bears." I ended up taking several boxes of it. I think I took maybe like 10 dozen or something to our church, and they used them for Bible school.
There you go.
Kids. I mean, I'm like, this stuff you could buy in a store,
All right. So if somebody's interested and wants to give bear hunting in Minnesota a try, we've got berniesbearcamp.com, correct? Is your website for the outfitter?
Yeah, and it takes you a while to draw a tag. It takes 4 to 5 years now to draw a tag in Minnesota. I'm in zone 27. But I got a really good system going, and every year I've had everybody now that's come to my camp has had a chance to shoot a bear. I've only had 2 people leave without one, and that was their choice. And last year was a really tough year. Some of the outfitters, they had only 50% or less success rate, and I only had one guy that he didn't get a bear, and he passed up. Well, one of them he passed up intentionally, and on the first night because he didn't want to quit hunting, and on the third night, one of, I guess you could say, it passed him up because he's sitting there reading a book with a gun across his lap when the bear stepped out and looked at him, and he was frozen. And the bear's like, I'm not having this. So he left, and he never got another chance.
Well, that's the way hunting goes. There's no doubt about it. And again, about the Bear Expo, have we got dates on that and location in Barnum?
Yeah, it's in Barnum, Minnesota, and it'll be next summer, July 25 through 27, last week in July. And I announced it early, so a lot of people you get their vacation signed up for before the end of the year. And then, I've already got guides and outfitters and people and bear bait suppliers will be there. And so I'm already selling booths. Excellent.
Bernie, we're going to let you go. I so much appreciate your time today on the Northland Outdoors podcast. And again, go to Facebook and follow Bernie around there. I imagine you have some other social medias too, Bernie, or
just Facebook is all I do, and I don't even really like it, but I do have about 9,000 followers, and my YouTube channel is probably the way I communicate most with people at Bow Hunting Road.
Okay, Bow Hunting Road on YouTube and then on Facebook as well, and follow everything that Bernie does. It's great stuff, great information, and again, congratulations on another unbelievable fishing challenge this year, Bernie, and keep it up. It's just amazing what you guys are doing for your adult and teen challenge in Minnesota.
Hey, I really appreciate it, and thanks for being a valuable part of it.
You bet. We will see you down the road, Bernie. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks again, Bernie, for joining us on the Northland Outdoors podcast. Bernie Barringer, one of the best in the business. And if you haven't checked out the Minnesota Fishing Challenge, make sure you do that. Support a team or get involved. Fish it yourself. It's a fantastic event. Another quick reminder before we go to inforum.com and subscribe. Make sure you follow us on wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcast and the like. Give us a good 5-star rating. It really helps us, moves us up the charts there. And also don't forget to tune in on the WDAY ABC network all across North Dakota, South Dakota, western and northern Minnesota, Sunday nights following the 10 o'clock news for the latest edition of Northland Outdoors Television. We will see you there, and we will see you right back here on the next Northland Outdoors podcast. I'm Chad Koel. See you next time.